Welcome back, Gears fans, to the Gears Esports Summer Major, where we have a hell of a matchup for you coming next. It's going to be the Kansas City Pioneers, Dynasty in Gears 5, against the reigning champions, first-time champions, Rise. As we got a Vexy and the boys live from a LAN center competing against the Kansas City Pioneer greats in Acels, Zysho, Handles, and Bronny. Excited for this one. Absolutely, undoubtedly. Bronny up in the stacks for best movement. We have Acels up in the running for best overall shotgun. We have a star-studded cast, that is for sure. And to join me on the desk for the first time today is Ribs. Ribs, you know something about some good movement from your days as a Gears pro. Your thoughts on this upcoming matchup?
Oh, no, I love it. It's the battle of the champions. The fact that this is a winner's quarters match is just a treat. Obviously, these two teams didn't expect to play each other this early, but as a fan and someone that's just here for the gameplay, I love that we're starting off with a championship caliber match. I mean, former losers finals match right off the bat on a Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Toby, initial thoughts on your end between these two? What are some key storylines we got to look out for?
Yeah, the one thing that just occurred to me, John, thinking through this match is it kind of reminds me in a way of, let's say, Envy Optic. You kind of have the stylistically, the Pioneers, we keep talking about Dynasty, right, despite their inconsistency. Then you have Rise, who have been super consistent, and they're all about teamwork and strats. This is kind of that clash again, isn't it? And when you come to the major, the question is now, can KCP tighten up a little bit? They lost 3-0 to Rebel yesterday. I mean, maybe, just maybe, they can get into that Dynasty form again. Not sure. They're up against a really consistent Rise right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. We talked about E-United versus Rise being the new E-Classico. Perhaps this one is Kansas City Pioneers being Optic, winning multiple championships. And then on the flip side, you got the team-oriented Rise squad, which is kind of an evolution of that Envy roster. Ribs, as you know, with Fran, obviously previously on that Rise roster. Let's take a look at that roster. We got Rushies, Vexies, the great movement duo alongside Detox, Mr. Solid, Mr. Consistent, always performing, and Insem up for most clutch player, top 3 finalist in all of Gears Esports as voted by his pro player peers. I'm excited to see what type of impact Insem makes on this game. On the flip side, we got the Kansas City Pioneers. You know them, you love them. Multiple multi-champion in Gears 5. Bronny joining this roster in place of Precision, who is arguably the best player in Gears 5 at the time, alongside Acels, top 2. Zysho, great power weapon player, great support player overall, does what he needs to do to support this team, has been competing since Gears 4 early on. And then, of course, Handles, the young Handles, competed in Gears 4 as an amateur player and absolutely dominated the Gears 5 pro circuit early on with this Kansas City Pioneers roster, originally under that Vanquish squad that turned so many heads in our first online major before winning so many online majors after that. This Kansas City Pioneers roster packs a punch, Ribs.
Oh, yeah. And I think they should come into this match with a chip on their shoulder. Getting that loss yesterday was not a good feeling, especially a reverse 5-0 against a team like Rebel that I don't think they really plan on losing to ever in an actual major, not to mention the last major ever. And then Rise also should be coming into this match with a chip on their shoulder, getting forced to map 5 twice. Round 11, map 5 against a challenger team that we just saw lose to Kenny. I mean, it's crazy to think these two teams aren't playing as good as they should be playing in a final event. But that could change going from Friday to Saturday, and that's what I'm hoping for in this matchup.
Yeah, that's a great point. We've seen that time and time again, kind of the history of Gears Esports, where a team maybe performs really, really well in pool play, then not so well in champ bracket, Pittsburgh Knights, or a team that maybe shows a little weakness in pool play, but then comes out swinging, learns from that. And, you know, I'd love to get your take on that, Toby. Do you think that pool play sometimes can kind of just be a nice little wake-up call, a little bit of a warm-up? It's almost like a scrim on steroids and practice really heading into the real deal on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to psychology when you compare days like this, right? Between, say, Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday, is that some players rise to the occasion and they really benefit from the adrenaline provided by the bigger stakes as it increases over the days. And some kind of don't. Some can kind of lead to choking and whatnot, right? So you kind of have two extremes there. And I think Friday is perhaps an opportunity for a lot of these teams to really feel themselves out in the game, get warmed up, remove any tension from their bodies and minds, and really just get into the mood and get into a flow state. But for some other teams, in particular, teams like Rise have been inconsistent on Fridays, right? Or through different days. And some teams just flow through it and actually get some benefit off it through whatever victories they have. I really don't like the idea of fluctuating performances as days go on, because that alone can, influence things like your mentality and confidence going forward. So yeah, it's a very interesting discussion, right? The difference between the different days. Some teams really benefit from it, some don't.
And Ribs, obviously, you got that perspective as a player. You have any other insight there you'd add?
No, I just want to build off of what Toby said. I don't like fluctuating performances, but I do like a gradual increase of just ability to play and execute. So if you don't have a great Friday, but you're still in on Saturday, I want you to play better on Saturday. Maybe not the top of your gameplay, and then I want you to peak at the proper time at the end of Saturday and carry that on into Sunday. Yeah. I feel like that is a necessity. Or you could be like some of our dynasty teams that just play at that constant level of intensity and never really falter throughout the whole weekend.
Well, that's a key question for both of these teams and have the best Friday night. Will they accelerate or will they digress? We will find out here in just a moment because they're going to be playing against each other in a kind of do or die situation here, given the fact that it's our last major winners bracket. Of course, sitting in winners bracket semifinals is a much better spot that both of these teams are familiar with being in. Obviously, Rise had to grind through the losers bracket last time. But hey, let's start to talk and preview this matchup a little bit. How do these two teams compare? And if you had to pick kind of an X factor for both teams that's going to make the difference, who would you pick, Toby?
That's an interesting one. In terms of KCP, for me personally, I feel it has to be a Sells, right? He's been the past MVP, right? He's perhaps the best player in the game. I believe you've said it already. I think on this broadcast, actually, John. And he is definitely the player to look out for. It seems like if he gets going, then the rest of the team kind of follows suit, right? And then for Rise, it's an interesting one because it's hard to look at this team in terms of individuals because they are that OG team-based roster that kind of always kind of puts on a show. Yeah, if someone's struggling one map, someone picks up. Yes, so it's kind of you kind of think of them as individuals like that, but really it's a team effort for these guys. I think for me, when it comes to the discussion of psychology of these big events, I think you have to go to Rushies at that point. The experience, he just seems to just turn into a different beast, a different animal once it comes to these major events, right?
I like that.
And especially when you get them all together at a LAN center, for example. I'm curious to see if that really shows in Rushies gameplay, because I think Fran was already mentioned yesterday that Rushies kind of benefits from being in person with his teammates and letting that passion flow in person. So yeah, I definitely Rushies and Sells are, I guess, the players to watch for me for this one.
Love that pick. And we'll real quick, let's walk through the map series layout and what we're going to see. We got District Control, we got Tomb Execution, Vaskar, Escalation, Regency Control, and if it comes down to a Game 5, we're finishing off with Checkouts. Once again, that's District, Tomb, Vaskar, Regency, and Checkout in this one. I am beyond excited, Toby, just from that quick kind of rundown of maps. You think any team has the upper hand here?
I think, well, let's talk about setting the pace. Rise are 5-2. They're the best district team in terms of Pro League stats, right? So they've got a really good leg up there, I think, to get things started. Checkout, they're 4-1. They're the best, or joint best, actually, Checkout team here in the Pro League split. I think that's fantastic for them. Vazgar number 3. I guess I'll close out my thoughts on that last map, on that third map. They are fantastic, both teams, especially KCP when it comes to major events. So that's kind of a bit more of a question mark for me, actually, despite Rise 5-1 in the Pro League split. Absolutely excellent. The best record, you might argue, on Vazgar compared to United's 4-0. Kind of depends which way you lean that way. I think Rise really has a good series in front of them, but that Vazgar could shake things up for sure.
Well said. Good breakdown. Yeah. Absolutely. As we head in to our predictions here, and I want to hear your thoughts as to who's going to win and why. Ribs, starting with you. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, so I mean, you talked about just how they matched up, and in Pro League, it was 3-1 in favor of Rise, and then in that Losers Finals match, that fated Losers Finals match, the first time Rise really beat KCP was in a map 5. So I do think if this goes the distance, I give it to Rise, but I think KCP, as I said before, should have a chip on their shoulder. Some of the mistakes they made against Rebel yesterday, I feel like they could build off of. Vazgar specifically, I feel like they were up 4-0. No reason they don't close that map out. I am going to go with KCP, and I'm kind of laughing right now because in Detox's interview, he was saying how he kind of just doesn't care what the analysts say, right? As he should, right? But when they do predict against him, and I know myself, former teammate of his, former coach of his, he kind of just says, I want to prove them wrong. So if you're listening to this, prove me wrong once again. I'm kind of just going to do like last event. I'll wait till Sunday before I start predicting Rise to win, okay? Make it a Sunday first, and then I'll give you guys the prediction. Right now, KCP, they're going to come out swinging.
I like that. And you gave him the ultimate prediction on Sunday, which is what matters. You called the comeback through losers bracket, which is damn impressive. Ribs has the Kansas City Pioneers, says they're too hot. Toby, who you got?
KCP, we keep mentioning Dynasty, that word, right? Are just this team with the huge question mark in their backs now at this point after a very inconsistent Pro League, right? That kind of has been the theme for a long time, inconsistency in Pro Leagues, admittedly, and really performing when it comes major time. But for me personally, it's hard to really vote against the consistency of Rise. They've had 8-1, 2 splits in a row through the Pro League. They've been fantastic in E-Days, just overshadowed by a little bit small margin in the E-Days tournaments. And yeah, they had a really slow start yesterday in many ways, some struggling maps where you don't expect it. But after that KCP 3-0 from Rebel, I think that definitely would have rocked them at least yesterday. I hope that they kind of come back from that. But it's kind of an indicator as to perhaps what KCP we have this event, along with that, the inconsistent and poor, really, Pro League performance from them. So I have to go with Rise. I think Rise will take it. I have to stick with the stats. I have to stick with the consistency. And I have to give an asterisk to that because it's very hard to vote against KCP. I've been a fan of them for a long time. But over time, that's kind of waned because of this really lackluster performance at different times, especially in Pro League.
Well, I know that'll be motivation for the Kansas City Pioneers if they are watching. We'll see if they can put respect on their name. I'm the tiebreaker. And as the tiebreaker, I got to say, I think Rise is going to take it. I think so far, Rise being on LAN, Rise being more consistent over the last few months, Rise having gotten better practice, having meshed more as a team, having more confidence in each other as a team, I think will make the difference. But the raw skill, the talent of Kansas City Pioneers makes it a tough one, absolutely. I mean, they have, pound for pound, the four of them have so much skill, and all that skill combined, if they're all firing on all cylinders, a little scary for Rise, not going to lie. I'm looking forward to this matchup. It is going to be a great one. Let's go ahead and throw it right over to our casters to jump into gameplay. Taylor, Jacob, take it away.
Hey, appreciate you boys on the analyst desk. Jacob, we are back to Gear Summer Major Day 2, and what a matchup this is. Rise and Kansas City Pioneers, both hitting their stride at different times. Kansas City Pioneers champions for the longest time, it seems, Jacob, and then Rise, newly antiquated champion just from the last major to spring major, looking to go back-to-back. So this matchup, at least in my mind, means a lot.
No, it definitely does mean a lot. It's a great way to start off the tournament from fans, from casters, the excitement that we're going to have. But for these players, this is where you start, and the road is just going to get tougher. So these guys really need to lock up here. And for the Pioneers, they've had a split of struggles. Even yesterday, we saw those struggles continue, and they really need to stop those struggles, fix those mistakes, and adapt here on the fly, because Rise, once again, we saw yesterday, them to get off to a little bit of a slow start, but find that form rather quickly in that same first map.
So one thing the analyst desk brought up that definitely hit at home is the fact that Kansas City Pioneers, they can be one of the most deadly teams out there if they want to be. Even when they were playing loosey-goosey, as you like to say, during the spring major, they still managed to get third place. An impressive showing, but it wasn't first. And I do think because they didn't get first, they've kind of gone downhill since. But maybe they can bring it back, especially starting now. District 2, Vascar Regency, and check out District, a great map to start off on. But Rise is a team that excels on District. Their record is 5-2 when it comes to Pro League, and for Kansas City Pioneers, they're 1-1. So honestly, even starting off, it's like, wow, you're picking a map that Rise has had success on.
Yeah, and honestly, though, I will say, just looking at this picks and ban cycle, even though Rise has had success on District, I think it's more of the game type. And looking at the picks and bans, I think the Pioneers did a really good job of minimizing the amount of strategy that can be played each and every single one of those maps, because there's a lot that can be done on Tomb, a lot of different things. But check out, that's a battlefield. Sure. A lot of those maps have one directional playstyle instead of maps like Afira, where you can throw out strats. The same with Canals. You can even rely on your sniper. And a great job for them to ban out Ritual, because I think the Pioneers have lacked in that killer instinct lately, and they don't want to fall victim to an early Rise heat up there. Sure. So I think this is a great picks and ban cycle for the Pioneers overall. Sure. But I've been one of those guys that have always said, what have you done for me lately? And when it's the Pioneers, it's not much.
It's not. And I noticed Afira was also banned out. Interestingly enough, Rise bans it. Rise isn't a bad Afira team, but Kansas City Pioneers are a terrible Afira team. And I don't know why that is. They started off relatively strong, like neck and neck with the likes of, E United, Pittsburgh Knights, who were just great on that map, but they slowly started to fall off, and it just turned into a terrible map for them. And then at one point, I'm convinced it was one of their auto bans just going into the series, which was very rare. Right? Kansas City Pioneers didn't have many auto bans, but I think that was. But either way, it's not here. But going into map 2, you have Tomb Execution, We know Rise has history. Kansas City Pioneer. I mean, Zycho specifically against Rise has history, right? This roster, this is what the map that they won their first, quote unquote championship, the mid-split playoffs way back in the day. Jacob was on Tomb, but I do think Kansas City Pioneer should be the stronger team on Tomb. So I'm thinking, at least in the first two maps, we go 1-1, but then that leads us into Vascar. Who do you think the stronger team is there?
I think it really depends on momentum and how those first two maps have really been going. I think at face value, I do give it to Rise from what they've been able to do this split and how they've been able to come back even in those deficits. I do like the interesting aspect that you're talking about Tomb, because on paper, I'm thinking I like Rise on that map because the amount of flexibility and different strategies they could throw out. But after watching them yesterday, I believe it was against Casa de Papel, the focus that they put onto Inzum and then the lack of adaptation coming out from Rise has me a little bit concerned going into it, but I trust in Affinity. I trust in my draft pick of Vexies, and he was one of those teams, one of those players I said I would love to see a Vexies win one of the last majors. Him, Kenny Bounce, and obviously my boy Identives.
Yeah, it'd mean a lot to them, wouldn't it? Especially Identives, like Latin America would be through the roof. Pittsburgh Knights have a real chance to get there, but they're going to have to work a little bit harder. I think now the competition, even represented from a team like Twilight, we keep talking about how they were a challenger team, and they absolutely were. Mind you, the number one challenger team who ended up qualifying to play in the summer major. Obviously, they take a loss early on to Northern Forces, just a series before this, but even they were giving a couple of teams a run for their money, and that should indicate that every team is a threat. You got to take them seriously, and I think at this point, Rise, Kansas City Pioneers, they understand this series is a special one. Not necessarily because, Rise has beat KCP in the past and so on and so forth, but Major Time hits a bit different, and Kansas City Pioneers are a wild card. I think we always come into debate, or at least in the past couple of majors, we've been saying, KCP, they're not going to take it. They had a lackluster split, and all of a sudden they come into major, and it's like, wow, these guys are the real deal. So I'm thinking we're going to see the same thing, especially now that Champs Bracket is underway.
See, I'm just not convinced. I'm not convinced in that same thing because in my head, right, and this is me trying to think logically. I know I'm a little crazy sometimes and I spew out some randomness, but I want to believe the Pioneers can click it on as soon as they snap the fingers, as soon as the lights go on and the show starts. But like I said, when you're stuck in those struggles throughout the split, when you had struggles yesterday, I'm going to find it impossible for them to kick it on just like that. I think it's going to take them a few maps, but it's also that same worry because you don't want to go against Rise and have to take a few maps to heat up. So that's why I feel like this series could go either way because like I said yesterday, depends on which version of Rise we'll see, the swaggered out, overconfident Rise or the ones that is going to tighten up, back roll, play into that team play. I think this is a perfect match to start the day because after this one is said and done, no matter who is victorious, they're going to realize it is probably a little bit closer than I would have imagined. And then that's how I got to tighten up for the rest of the event.
Well, Jacob, it's going to be a fun one, and it looks like we're about to get underway. Map 1, we're going to District, and I've got to favor Rise Map 1 to start off the rip. But Rise traditionally starts off series very slowly to the point where they're even at times down 0-2 in series count, map count, and then they all of a sudden end up winning in Map 5. It's a spectacular thing. They got composure without question, but this matchup could very well determine who ends up in winners finals. I know whoever ends up winning this moves forward to play against the winner of Fury 1 and Northern Forces. That's going to be a great matchup. But either way, Fury 1 not to be messed around with. Northern Forces, they show what they can bring to the table early on. Jacob, let's get it started.
Let's get it started right here. Great flashes to really kind of counteract and stall out that initial. What makes that movement so important and the accuracy for the shots. And talk about accuracy. You know how Zycho gets when you let him get loose.
That's right, baby. And KCP, they're going to go ahead and rotate up, get the drop shot. Can they get away, though? One thing that I love about Rise is that team fire. And Bronny, well, he got the brute end of it. And unfortunately, the falling before he can get out with the drop there. KCP still in a good spot, though, Jacob. Despite losing the drop, they're still getting points. But at this point, Bronny, he's about to face the entire team of Rise. Good damage, but he knows what's about to come.
Yeah, I hope an Affinity's talking in their ear. Tranquilo. Maybe not Spanish. He's probably saying in English, relax, boys. You know how we can get. We can turn it on at a moment's notice. Handel's going to be the only one defending that hill. He's going to get taken out quick, but you can see why he was the only one. Everybody else on the map is playing for forward progression, playing for that next hill since they got the majority of the time on the last.
All right, so off to a good start for Rise, but Kansas City Pioneers, let's see if they can hold on to what they got. Rise, I say good start because they are moving their way as a wolf pack towards the next hill, which is a good thing, right? But Cells, I like that he backs away. Plus, you have handles up close and personal. This is a great combo, but Cells still has a 1v2 ahead of him, and Rise makes good headway forward. One more loose and they have to tie up. Bronny will throw out the preemptive shock just to stop and slow down Rise at the moment. Maybe Handles will join into the mix shortly, but Jacob Zysho, he's been popping off since the beginning. He falls a little bit short that time around. It looks like Rise is going to have a 3v3 ahead of him.
Yep, and you can see already Rushy's is trying to go ahead and distract the people towards the backside, giving a 3v2 on the other end, making it that much harder as he gets elimination. 3v2 to 4v2, make it 3v none. One sacrifice player is going to go down, Detox, but look at his respawn and look at what he's going to do. He's going to spawn towards the low side, and that allows those two players in Inzum and Avexis to push up deeper into the spawn, knowing that a flank is going to be spotted out, especially with drop shot coming up.
Drop shots, right? Just in a couple of seconds, make that just 4 specifically. Detox has it in his line of sights. Bronny will back away. Detox should have free reign to pick it. He will. Does he use it on Bronny, or does he pull out the snub of the Nasher? Well, that's going to be my answer to the question. Inzum will drop him, and Rise, like I said, they were looking good. Even though they had the point deficit, you could definitely tell they were prioritizing the second hill, Jacob. They did that exceedingly well. With just 20 or so seconds, we're rotating the next, and the players are scrambling to get over.
Scrambling right now, and that's what makes this 16-second trash time interesting for Inzum to go ahead and try to grab. They want to give themselves as much of a cushion, as much of a lead. You can see as soon as the Cells bleeds himself out, that's when Inzum is now trying to make the rotation, and that's where Affinity's probably letting them know how much time you have to work with. But Avexis third down and out, that's going to make things tough. Rushies as well. 2 players of Rise are going to fall, and that's going to put the remaining 2 in such a bad spot.
Terrible spot, man, and they're going to have to work through it, though. Cells yesterday pulling up some miraculous plays. I think we ended up posting a couple on Gears Esports on Twitter, and man, he was just incredible, as we expect him to be. He's a player that can make plays that nobody should be able to do so. And even in that case, dropping Rush, he's backs away, drops, no worries. Zysho is there for the pickup, but the pressure is still on from Rise, and now they do officially take down his Cells. That leaves just a couple more to deal with. And Rise has all 4 members here, and they are cleaning up Kansas City Pioneers one by one. In fact, they don't drop a single player. Did Detox use the drop shot, or does he still have it?
I think he used it. He used it to survive in that situation in the juice, because that's what forced that players to kind of back off of the situation, because they didn't take much damage. They got an elimination and they were split up. So as soon as Rise and Detox alleviated that pressure, they were able to break through like you're saying. But Avexis, with the pistol damage, is he going to be able to clean it up? Cells trying to get aggressive, and this is a perfect sandwich that's beginning to form, but you can see he knows Detox is still in the hill, so he cannot advance without risking his life.
No, he can't, can he? He's got to just stay where he's at. Honestly, the angle's not bad. I mean, it's still enough to drop Avexis, who might get picked back up. Kansas City Pioneers are getting the wipes they need to. In fact, the drop shot in his Cell's hands. He's going to be scot-free, gets away, might go towards Bandstand. At least I assume he will. No, he's going to go ahead and stick it in middle. Fair enough. He's going to try and control middle as much as possible. That's going to be the main transitional point for Rise, or at least you would think so. They do rotate over towards the right side where P2 is at, and Handles, Bronny awaiting their competitors. Meanwhile, Cells, I think he's about to use the drop.
This is, I was about to say, maybe not then. Wait for the team. Bronny was down already, so that's not too much that's going to be lost right there as the Cells get advanced from different angles. Shots going to be fired off. Rushies even finds one onto Zysho as well on the lower portion of the map, and you can see they're at least taking control of the left. I would like to see Rise be a little bit more proactive with the eliminations and the extra players they have spreading out to take control of the right side of the map. Have that forward progression thinking of what's going to come next, but you can see Pioneers losing all control, losing a couple players left and right. They are the ones taking control of that right side of the map.
Still tight scoreline, 130-80. Not too crazy. Kansas City Pioneers, they're not sweating that hard, at least as of yet. It's going to get more testy as we do get along in the scoreline. But again, Rise from yesterday, Jacob, we were constantly commenting that once they get the ball rolling, it is very tough to stop them. And Rise has kind of got it rolling. It's, you know, it's going, but still a little bit more needs to be done without question. And Detox, well, he's got all the numbers in front of him. And for Rise, they're kind of being pretty slow off the retake. I'm going to be honest with you, Kansas City Pioneers, this setup, it's looking pretty strong to me.
Yeah, it's looking pretty strong right now. And you can see by Inzum, he wasn't capping the hill there for that second. Is because they want to believe. They want the Pioneers to take the bait that they're rotating around. They want to make the Pioneers get uncomfortable out of these positions. Because you can see right now, it's Handles and Bronny locking down that juice. Acels, the walking multi-kill towards the top. And then at the bottom, it's going to be Zysho. Zysho's just that support player, that anchor. And now that they didn't take the bait, the hill has transferred over. They have forced to make a different move on the side of Rise.
First smoke is out. Vexies, does he push it? Well, Rushies is going to be the tip of the spear. Bronny meets him head on. Good damage onto Rushies, but a good follow-up from a Vexies. Inzum gets the drop shot. At this point, the cherry on top. Kansas City Pioneers' defensive setup seems to be folding, but Acels, just like yesterday, making some wonderful plays. He holds it down, 10 toes down, and, well, Rise, they've got to work even harder to now regain. I thought for sure KCP was done for, but nope, Acels, he ends up bailing him out. Well done.
I told you he's the walking multi-kill. That's the guy. That's the monkeys for this roster. That's the guy you'd look at just like Inzum for this roster. He's the making waves and making moves just like Handles. 2 straight downs to lend that helping hand to Zysho. Shots from across the map as Bronny's going to get shut down by Inzum. But if you look at where Inzum at, he's across the map. There's no weapon. There's no hill. There's no reason for him to be over there other than to go ahead and stop the stagger of the respawn players.
That's really all it is, isn't it? And he also is going to have a bit of a flank if any players choose to, well, it depends really. If Rise can win this low end, they can't. If Rise wins that, I'm like, okay, then Avexy's in a cool spot, but ultimately he now has to push up and take action into his own hands. KCP have caught up. In fact, we have a lead change, and that again is from Acels getting a wonderful 2-piece in the last hill, despite a huge push from Rushies and Avexys to try and retake it. Avexys holds his ground, and KCP, they're back in the running. And at this point, it's anybody's ball game.
2 players watch in the middle. That's Acels and Handles, trying to get that best duo award at the end of the season. You can see why they're always working together in tandem. Acels pushing up just a little bit. It makes me question what is the timer on that drop shot, because right now they could sacrifice the hill, back off, and try to play for the weapon, but it's Inzum who's going to get dropped. Rushies, Detox soon to follow. Inzum finally making a play. Revives and downs coming through. Rise finding that standing chance, but you talked about 20 seconds. Acels going high. He's making the decision, do I grab the spawn point or play for the drop shot?
And I think he's going to commit for the spawn point at the moment. Rise might get a free pick on the drop. Even though Handles does rotate around, he actually does settle his T-Kettle, and player 7, Zysho, Handles, they're going to try and bully out this drop, or excuse me, Acels, they're going to try and do so if they can. Inzum, great shots onto Zysho. That's going to back him up. Acels, though, he's ready to push, especially with Bronny being on flank, but Bronny is down. A couple of kills being traded from both rosters. Detox picking up another, a 1v2 in front. He'll fall, but Rushy's got what he wanted. He got the quick pick. He got out of there, and he didn't even have to challenge.
Yeah, he's going deep into spawn as well, making sure to get that revive on a couple players, and he's gathering the information. He didn't get the spot there onto Handles, but he said, hey, one's over here at the very minimum. And this is where it's going to be very, very important for Rise, because Rushies has to be able to get 1 to 2 eliminations with that drop shot. No misses are going to be acceptable in a game this close.
None at all, brother, and we're getting near the 200-point mark. KCP looked to be breaking it first, but Rushies with drop shot. Does he send it to the right? Does he send it to the left onto Acels? Bronny's a bit out of reach. He'll go ahead and commit it on the Handles, who was flexing. He knew it was kind of over with. You really can't get away from that spot, and that's going to be a clean retake from Rise's perspective. Pioneers, they don't get the 200. I think it's going to be Rise at the moment, but KCP, they still find a couple of players on the outside. That's going to be Bronny and Handles, who are going for the break. They'll challenge Rushies and Inzum at the moment, but this Zysho fight, I mean, it seems like it's finally coming to an end with the mantle. Detox silences them, but will KCP get the retake? It's going to be a tense fight.
Yep. Detox kind of getting revenge on his Zysho, because that's the same player that took them down, and the kill feed is lighting up, and it's lighting up Rise right now to go ahead and get that trash time that's on the hill. We call it trash time, but a game this close, it's so valuable. 20 seconds left, but Pioneers get the respawn, and they have Bronny deep into the respawn. They need to make sure to try to hold on to that position, but they're already separating the players. Bronny's going to have to force a 1v2 right here. A big shot's going to be landed on Avexys, forcing it back. Bait and switch coming in. Rushy's trying to take the damage, and it works to perfection. direction. They get that elimination and give themselves the man advantage.
It's still going to be a 3v3. Inzum, he's looking to challenge Bandstand player 6. Did he get the shock? That's Handles. He doesn't, so the shock still over Bandstand, but Handles knew he needed to be up there with his boys. Rise was making a push, and that push is going to pay dividends. 70 seconds remain. That's not enough for Rise to win outright, but they can get very close. At this point now, KCP, they've got to get to work, and they've got to do it fast. Rise can start snowballing very quickly. I think they already have. 250 is 100% well within their grasp. So at this point for KCP, it's now do or die.
It's a big elimination on a Detox as well. Drop shot is going to be up, and the more they push the hill, the more these players are going to get off of watching that drop shot. Bronny's going to try to pick it up. You see Avexy's trying to go towards the flank and disrupt all that's going down, but Rushies falls directly on the hill. Inzum trying to be that last player, the anchor, 2 straight downs, but he's unable to achieve more. Bronny gets out of dodge with the drop shot, and the Pioneers will be able to hold on to this hill and hopefully climb back into this.
Oh, nice shot from Acels. He needed that. Yeah, definitely. And what, 30 seconds remain. I said it was do or die, and it really was. If KCP didn't retake in the fashion they did, Rise would have been at 270, 280 without question. But now KCP are back again, neck and neck, forcing the hand of Rise to come back. Nice down on Avexy's from Handles. You know, it's nice to see KCP using team fire. The wiggle waggle, the 2. Can we get the 3? No, but Handles surely can. He'll pressure up onto Inzum. Inzum was tough without question, but Handles and Acels will pick up 3, and Rise, their numbers, they dwindle for a bit. They get back into the fight, but KCP, 2 on the next hill. Rise pushing from all angles. Handles has to back up. Avexy's holding his ground as much as possible. When does he make the push? Well, not now anyways. He's gonna fall. Rushies losing his teammate means he's gotta back all the way up, and KCP should have a lead change going their way shortly.
Yeah, Rise just needs to relax right here. This is now not winnable. It's not winnable for either one of these rosters realistically on this hill, so they need to take it step by step. They cannot rush. They cannot get desperate as Rushies goes down first. Detox takes a lot of damage, almost falls. Rushies gets cleaned up. Acels gets dropped. Detox falls, but quickly revived back up. Rise is just stuck right now. They have no way to advance, and that's why you see them trying to backtrack, but I think it's too little too late. They lose Detox, revive back up. They're getting staggered right now. This is the perfect recipe for success for KCP.
Rise has to band together. Like at this point, you lost 2 members. You've got 2. Honestly, challenge if you want. That's a good kill from Inzum. They'll keep it contested. Matter of fact, miraculously, I can't believe it, they actually find the points on the hill. Acels, he's going to back completely away to get the drop. Does he get up? Zysho will pick him up. Avexy's going to flank. They're trying to pincer these boys in. Zysho falls, so does the other. The drop shot doesn't go, and I'm dumbfounded. Rise takes the lead back after KCP controlled that hill without question.
And guess what? That hill is going south for the winner, where Avexy's is already lined up with Inzum. They also have a shock grenade. They spotted out at least 1 player, or at least I would assume so. Hopefully he has his Astros clanked to the max right now so he can at least hear the audio. Zysho for sure should be spotted out. Avexy's getting that shock, trying to stagger, backing him up, but Zysho being able to slip through the cracks, get that elimination, and now Rise is stuck in a pickle. Oh no.
Oh my, yeah. This might be KCP taking a lead back once again. This hill is enough for both teams to win outright at the moment anyways. And Rise, they've got to take it back for their control. We got a bit of a 2v2 up top between Handles and Bronny, and that's going to be the Rise members of Rushies and I believe Detox Challenge. And meanwhile, player 3 is also there. Drop shot, shock, that's not going to matter. What matters is to get a touch on the hill, a retake, and Rise has one final chance to do so. Pioneers nearly just 7 points away from victory. It might be cut down to 5, but Rise finds some real estate inside. They break through. Good damage from Zysho, but he didn't hit the shot he needed to hit. Rise now 10 points away. KCP, they've got a couple of stragglers on the outside, but they're going to be outnumbered. Acels will fall, Handles as well, and Rise will lock in map 1, 300 to 293.
That was such an entertaining start to the winners. Oh, this is quarterfinals. This isn't even round 1. This is the quarterfinals.
That's it.
Rise versus Pioneer. This is an exciting start, and this is exactly why I said it's important for both of these teams to really play all out, because from here on out, it's just going to get exponentially harder. But I don't want to point it out. Bronny, 2 in 15, 9 assists. Even though you stagger out, leaving deaths on the ground, in a game this close, every elimination matters.
Oh, every elimination without question. I mean, every point, scrap time. Like, it's funny. At the beginning, you did mention the fact that, sometimes scrap time makes all the difference in the world, especially when the scoreline is as close as it was. I mean, KCP, they lose, by 7 points? And, I mean, that could have been acquired by scrap time. But honestly, the push would have been the same at the end. And Rise would have had to make that last-ditch effort the same exact way they just did. So scrap time or not, it probably would have been the same outcome. Rise did exactly what they needed to do. KCP, they took over control of the last hill. They had it. You mentioned Avexi set up a bandstand early on. KCP walked through them. They had the real estate they needed. Unfortunately, they didn't have the buying power to purchase the W. It's unfortunate, it really is. But that map did not disappoint.
Yeah, even the hill before the last hill, looking like they had good control on the side of KCP. Exactly. I don't really know what happened on that last hill. Thankfully, we have highlights, we have replays. Maybe we'll get an inkling or a tease of what exactly went wrong. But it really looked like they were going to win the overall team fight. They had a couple downs. They had revives already coming through. I think Detox got chunked over the top. Next thing you know, it's lighting up blue. Rise is still ticking up time. That's going to be one of those fatal errors that I feel like Great or Jackal would have been able to call out eons ago.
Yeah, it's tough because KCP, they had the lead change. They had 20 points they could have grabbed, so they could have went into the last hill with even more pressure mounted up onto Rise. And then all of a sudden, Rise has it. They come back. They go into the final hill with the point lead. And it's just KCP were there. And I think they rotated off. If I'm just reflecting on it, Jacob, I think they did, in fact, rotate off to go and push for the drop, because I believe Acels, once we caught up to him, and I was like, wow, Rise is probably, in control of the hill. Acels was on drop shot in mid, but he doesn't get away. Rise did a wonderful job not only securing that hill, retaking a point lead, but also challenging Acels as well. So big brain play, good communication, and just overall good assessment of everything that was taking place. But we know, you mentioned Affinity, we mentioned how smart Rise are. They're great at adjustments, and that was a good, clear, at least showcase in my eyes for that fact.
Yeah, the way you kind of explained what really happened, I can see the breakdown and I can see the errors already. Pioneers rushed the play, because if you're saying they went ahead and abandoned the hill to go for the drop shot, they probably rushed it in the sense of they got eliminations on the Rise. They were able to kind of take over and had the choice to take over control of the hill to get points, but they abandoned it. But with those same eliminations, with the hill being in that corner, it's going to force Rise in an outward spawn. And if you're rushing instead of taking your time, trying to count and figure out where these players are going to spawn from, that's going to allow them to get easier angles, to get extra damage on you and really take over the hill, especially since you saw players come from the Juice and Avexis and his teammate come from the southern portion of the map. So I think Pioneers just moved a little bit too quickly for their own good. And if you think about it, 7 seconds. 7 seconds. There were 7 seconds on the second to last hill they could have grabbed.
I know. Isn't it crazy? I still stand by it. I think the last hill still would have played out the way it did. But you're right, 7 seconds. Yeah. I mean, that was it. And it's just crazy close. At that point, it comes down to who wants it more and who's going to make that definitive push. And Rise, they made that definitive push. They took over control when they needed to on the bandstand hill, and they made it happen. That's a big round W for the boys of Rise. But admittedly, KCP did put up a much more tremendous fight than even I was expecting. Looking at the records, I thought that was going to be more of a heavy-ended map in the way of Rise. It wasn't. I mean, KCP were 100% there, but they do take the loss on the chin. I'm sure of it. KCP now are going into map 2, which I believe is their map pick, if I'm not mistaken, Jacob. And, Tomb is a great map. Nope. It's not their map pick. It's Rise's map pick.
It's Rise's pick. That's why I'm worried right now. I'm worried right now because that was a close match, right? And some may think, a team or a lesser team may continue to play in that sloppy style play that we've seen. But Rise, knowing that's a close map, going into an execution, that's going to allow them to tighten things up. I'll still go with the biggest adjustments I want to see them make is figure out a way to give a little bit more focus, whether if it's a help or some sort of offense play around Inzum, because that's what Casa de Papel was doing a good job of exposing. But if they're able to fix that, or at least run some different strats against an elite team, because I could see them not wanting to run strats against Casa de Papel. I can honestly see them not wanting to show their full hand, which is why that might have been a little bit closer. Right. So maybe this is the perfect moment they were waiting for. And if Rise does go up 2-0 in this series, I could almost bet on a 3-0 shutout. This one's going to be quick. Pioneers are going to go to losers bracket, backs up against the wall. In an earlier version of a tournament that they've ever seen. I don't think they've ever been in a loser's bracket this early in an event before.
I think that's a fair assessment because Vaskar would be Rise's, I think, favorite map. At least in my eyes, they play it better. They have better teamwork. KCP are going to have to muscle their way through. So I think this is do or die for Kansas City Pioneers. So I agree with that. 3-0, 3-1 for sure. Rise, they're looking comfortable. Now, we mentioned that the Costa de Papel matchup yesterday. We had a chance to cast that. Remember, Costa de Papel took an early 3-0 lead. And that was because Rise was trying to headbutt fight over on Tree. And it just wasn't working for them. So they made a critical adjustment to take a step back and then just Lancer out and slow the fight down. I think that could be incredibly valuable against Kansas City Pioneers. They're an aggressive team. They've always been an aggressive roster. And one thing that they really pride themselves on is good opening initials. And Cells is the guy that has been popping off, since yesterday. He was even popping up on District. I mean, he was making some great plays. So I think he is definitely going to be the tip of the spear. Rice has to focus on tapering him down, taper him off, slow him down, and more importantly, just team fire him. You knock him down, you get rid of him early on, it makes it a little bit easier to handle the rest of the roster.
And one thing I would like to see Rise do, but I'm kind of thinking, would it be too early? But I saw Affinity tweet out something about we've already used 7 of our 9 lives. We got to start playing a little bit perfect. So I can see them starting. He said it. We used 7 of our 9 lives. And I like it because Rise is one of those teams that I've said you have to get an early lead because once they figure out their flow, they're going to be able to come back. They're going to make it a closer series, and you need that lead. So that way, once that happens, you in turn have that same chance to kind of tighten things up. But I would love to see Rise going to championship caliber mode. And I think a key for them to show that they're in championship caliber mode is just to run different strategies. You know what I mean? Play for that shot grenade on the sniper, go for the torque bow, play for an aggressive early push into the mid. You can even go ahead and shock out the sniper, play for frags in that up top angle to try to get those early eliminations. And what we've seen from both Twilight and even Rise yesterday on a map like this is that bull rush. 3 players straight through the middle to try to get yourself that early numbers advantage. And as soon as the dust settles, you can play your numbers afterwards.
My only concern with that bull rush is Rise tried that against Costa de Papel yesterday, and it didn't work. They were shut down. I mean, but Costa de Papel read that situation well. They pulled back. They Lancered out. They used their teamwork. Vexies, I think at one point was getting some great downs. Rushies then was trying to capitalize off of those downs, but he ran straight into an Asher. He gets chunked, and it was, I could definitely see the gears turning in his head like it was a proper play, but it just wasn't well executed. And again, that was, a testament to Costa de Papel reacting accordingly and adjusting very well. Aggression against KCP. Do you really want to do that? Because again, they're an aggressive roster. You do have Zysho though, who has the tendency to slow things down, which is fairly excellent. Zysho, we know his assists are incredible. He's going to be hitting you as hard as he can. Even if he doesn't get any kills, he's not really too concerned with that. He just wants to output as much damage as possible. Where do you think KCP is going to prioritize, though? You mentioned the 3v3. I think that's definitely within their wheelhouse. Yesterday, we saw Rise more focused on the torque bow, if not the 3v3 in mid. So I think torque bow side is going to be heavier for Rise. Do you think KCP is going to meet him head on?
I think just like Rise, I think KCP has kind of a two-headed sword, two-headed drag, whatever you want to call it. I'm not as good as calling in the metaphor. But what I mean by that is they could play up top with the cells in that sniper. They could play towards the tree. They could play aggression on that side of the map. But they could also send Zysho at the bottom portion of the map and kind of play for that torque bow along with, I do believe it might be Handles, but I could be wrong. Could be Bronny as well. And they can kind of do exactly what they want to do. Like I said, they can also utilize that shock and play that two-headed lanes that they want to play. I just think Rise kind of outmatches them in the long game of strategy.
I agree.
So when things get tough, I think Pioneers are going to be the ones to force out those chaotic rounds, some smokes, some flashes, try to get that early down and focus onto Inzum. And if it's not Inzum, it might be that second player in through the middle. I talked about the bull rush. They might try to go for an early down or even fluster him off of his cover and try to get him to roll back into that spawn portion. And that way they can target somebody else with the time that he's taken to roll back. I think there's going to be a lot of options for both of these teams. I think this is going to be a great map. And I wouldn't even be surprised if there was going to be a shutout because both of these teams are going to press the tempo. They are going to go ahead and give everything they got. And sometimes when you have two strats that are on polar opposites, it might slow down, but it also might be one-sided.
So KCP last major, spring major, they fall into losers bracket for one of the first times in a very long time, if ever, during the winners finals, right? They didn't make it the grand finals, unfortunately. They dropped down. Winners finals went to losers finals. That's where they ultimately ended up losing to Rise, who defeated them and then went on to win everything against E United. This would be the earliest that KCP has ever dropped the losers bracket if they do. I know we're setting that narrative up. I'm just trying to make, the fans at home understand like how impactful this matchup really is, because you either have KCP falling down a losers bracket, because one or the other is going to happen. I mean, there can only be one winner. Only one guy or one team is going to move forward. So you either have KCP dropping down for the first time ever at this earliest stage in the bracket, or you have Rise, the previous champions, dropping down to losers bracket, something that would be just insane. Yeah, they made their way through losers bracket and they're in a spring major. They did it a little bit earlier, or it should be a bit later on, right? They made it a bit deeper. I mean, they didn't fall in round 2, but still, though, it's just that's how heavy this matchup really is. So either way, let's see what happens. Tomb is loaded up, and we're about to go into it. We mentioned a couple of different things, several different things, in fact, and I'm excited to see if we hit the nail on the head, at least for what Rise or KCP is going to do. So, Jacob, let's get it going. The initial is underway.
Yep, see what we're going to see right now. We already got Rushies going down low, trying to go ahead and grab that extra angle, but it's just to go to that same spot, matching up against Handles. 3v3 in towards the middle. Misroll coming out, but Avexi's going to be able to survive. Inzum and Avexi's the 1-2 punch combo, and from the low ground to high, he's able to take down a Cells and keep things going. Chainsaw coming out from Avexi's. This is a fantastic start to Tomb.
It's a perfect start to Tomb, all right? Hey, well done. And the chainsaw off the rip, Jacob. You don't see that too often at this point. Handles, I think he might be triggered. Ooh, that was personal.
And I want to piggyback on one point. You talk about the earliest the Pioneers have fallen. Let me give you a history fact. The last time a Dynasty-style team fell early on in a tournament, they didn't even make a finals, losers or winners. And that was during the Optic Gaming Dynasty, when they lost to EU's finals and winners, and then lost to that Ronin, a.k.a. PK squad and losers.
Wow, so it's been a while. Is that what you're saying then? So, hey, man, it's going to happen. I think it might happen. Nice start from Rise off the rip. Last time it was Handles by himself. This time it's Bronny. No beatdown, no sensational chainsaws this time around. All business, but for Rise, same result. Up 2-0. 2 very quick rounds.
Yep, this is where it starts to get dangerous from Bronny and the boys on the Pioneers, because this is where I want to see them go for Torque Bow. They tried to play that tree fight 2 different times, and if they're not going for Torque Bow, that mad dash to the middle we were talking about, because right now, you'd be a fool to keep going ahead and going up against Avexi's and Inzum, who are looking like they are on fire, but let's see them prove me wrong right here as they're going to go at it yet again.
Definitely so. Detox got first blood in the last round. This time he falls. Not first blooded, but Kansas City Pioneers. The most successful round they've had yet. Just as quick as the previous 2 that Rise was able to lock up. Matter of fact, the quickest round in 19 seconds, but a good answer back regardless. And what changed during that round for Kansas City Pioneers?
I think it was a little bit of the placements of the actual flashes. You could see the strategy was still the same overall, and then the early damage that they were able to get, because there was almost no options, because if you go back, you're going to get downed. If you go forward, you're going to get chunked.
All right, so round number 4. Once again, same strats it seems. Maybe we see Rushies break down low for Torque. No, he's going to go ahead and join his boys up top, get that off angle so he can Lancer out. Inzum, he's got to buck up at the moment. 2 players in front, Zysho and Co. Zysho will swing it wide. Bronny will push up. 2 players down for KCP. Rise still a full 4-stack. Matter of fact, will they lose anybody? Only 1, but no sweat off their brow. They will recover after losing round 3 and lead 3-1.
And you can see already the biggest adjustment I was talking about. If they were going against Casa de Papel, I almost guarantee Inzum's going down. He's getting pushed. He's going and getting taken out very, very early. But 2 different flashes were thrown to kind of disrupt Bronny's flow and not allow him to kind of follow up on that damage, which allowed Inzum to actually backtrack into Avexi's and get the revive.
So round number 5. Who's going to end up taking it? Will Rise continue their lead? Will Pioneers make it a bit more competitive? This time around, Rise is going to go for the Torque Bow. KCP doesn't match them. Avexi's getting very aggressive here. Again, he's justified in doing so. It's a huge risk, though, but it pays off. He manages to get first blood, and now he can back away if he wants to. But Cells with Sniper is a deadly prospect, but hey, the body shot's not enough. A second KCP member will fall. Rushies not slowing down. Matter of fact, Jacob, Jacob. Rise continuing to push forward, but maybe KCP finally gets one, and they do. But Bronny, he's popping up. He picks up one. He gets two. Handles sudden death. 1v1. Can he lock it in? Detox taking some damage. Handles can't hit the shot, and Rise will still win the round, bringing it 4-1.
Oh my God, that is such a round. I know we're going to get a replay. I was about to say, goalie knows exactly what to do in every situation, just like Bronny. Monster shots, monster plays, and that's why you can see all 8 players in the lobby. They're all championship caliber players, and they all have championships.
Exciting round nonetheless, brother. Handles missed that critical shot he needed, and I think Rise snowballs after this and wins the next 2. I got to be real with you. That that got my blood pumping. I'm hoping it got everybody else's blood pumping out there too. Detox first blood once again. I think that's his second. Another 2 down for KCP. Make that only 1 up. Sideshow, and like I said, I think it's over with, brother. This might end 6-1, but for now it's 5-1.
Yeah, they're taking the pieces out of the bottom of the Jenga board. That's exactly where Rise is starting. That's making it harder and harder for later on in these rounds for them to find the perfect piece to pull out and pull on top. Because if they pull the wrong one, the whole thing is going to come crumbling down. Exactly what you're seeing right now out of KCP. They're not making the adjustments. And even up top, one of the guys I thought we can rely on in his cells, it's Detox that is going in that man-to-man coverage almost and just taking him out time and time again. And they're forcing a full-on strat change.
Yep. Bronny, torque bow in hand. First time we see Pioneers with the torque. They did have sniper earlier, so it's not the first time with the power weapon, but maybe this makes a bit of a difference. Detox, sniper up. You mentioned Rushies, and where's he at? What's he up to?
He was just trying to be a rat. He got caught out for it. But that's exactly Rushies' thing. But look, they're going to figure out a way to turn it around. At least I thought so. Rushies goes down. Detox gets taken down. But I'm okay with that because those strategies, plays like that, just goes to show that they're feeling comfortable. They're feeling themselves, and they're allowing Rushies to do exactly what he does best. And nobody's perfect, not even Rushies. But let's see if Inzum is. Is he going ahead dodging a couple of shots, landing a few onto his cells? Reinforcements are there, so it's going to get harder. But with Detox in the snipe, I would love to see a 1v4. I would love to see it. Give it to me.
He'll split the dividend at least, and KCP, they'll push up with the flank. Detox, he's sending shots flying, but ultimately it's just not going to happen. I'd love it too, Jacob, if we got it, but unfortunately we do, and fortunately for Kansas City Pioneers, it doesn't happen. It's 2-5. A lot more work still needed to be done. Matter of fact, 4 straight rounds needed for KCP if they want to be victorious in map 2, but hey, a round's a round, and you're staying alive.
Hey, Rebel proved it yesterday. Rebel proved anything is possible, and that's why I think this is like a Cinderella weekend. If they could pull back the 5 straight rounds, was it against the Pioneers? It was against the Pioneers. They pulled out 5 straight round sweep.
Vanquish at the time, but
man.
Yeah, same roster basically, precision instead of Bronny, but it was on this very map. That's what I'm saying. These guys have history on this map, and from yesterday, excuse me. But I think it might be done with. First blood, going to the way of Rise. I say that, let me take a step. You know me, I get carried away. There it is, there's a trade. So 3-3, Cells picks up the snipe, immediately taking the head off Detox. Now 2-2, trades left and right.
Right now, Rise just needs to stick together. Bronny knows at least one person was over here. You could see in the minimap there was already a quick adjustment made by Rushies, but you could see they were kind of looking for him, trying to catch him off guard while they had the numbers. They didn't find him as quickly as they want, and that's why everybody now is trying to make adjustments. Play for that overtime hill and not get caught off guard. Separation is going to be key for both Bronny and the torque bow, and Inzum with the sniper. It's just being able to catch your opponent off guard, which is going to be the trick.
Yeah, definitely so, right? And it's tough to catch your opponent off guard in these 2v2s, especially here. KCP has the high ground. They're going to spot Rise wherever they rotate. Obviously, Rise knows where Bronny and Handles are at, so there shouldn't be any surprise there. I guess it's a matter of where's the overtime at. With Rise staying where they are, I have to assume it's on Torquebo's side where they are. That gives them a bit of an advantage, but I do like the fact that Bronny has torque and he also has nades, so that's going to be tough for Rise to get through. But here we are. Bronny, Handles, they're going to be rotating right side. And the playmaker is obviously going to be Inzum, and he spotted Bronny.
I like this. I like this right now. Inzum has so much room to work with. He knows one's deep into the spawn. Rushies nor him has spotted that second player, which is why they got to play careful. But careful enough, they backtrack, grab that Torque Bow. Handle's going to be spotted out, trying to go for a flank. Separation is in. Torque Bow out. Splash damage on Inzum. Another one's being revved up. That one is going to connect. Bronny making the play, bringing it down to a 2v1 situation. They're trying to go for overtime. Rushies gets the reset, but has to sacrifice positioning. He goes down, and Pioneers are doing their darndest 2 rounds in a row to claw back into this, but they need to be perfect for 3 straight more.
Yeah, 3 straight more, but honestly, something KCP has done in the past. So again, I think if anybody could do it, it could be them. And it's important that Rise stops it now, at least in my opinion. He gets 5-4. It's a bit scary, but 5-5 is right around the corner. But you see a breakout. Pioneers, I think, are going to full send it over towards Torque. The only player to meet them is going to be Rushies. You do have a couple of great crosses from Avexys and Inzum. Big opening down onto Avexys and Inzum. Player 7 has to rotate. Detox tries to go for the pickup. He can't get it. Looking like a team ace, brother. And like I said, Rise needed to shut it down now. They don't. They still have a chance to do so, but 2 rounds can be over very quickly.
Yeah, I like the way they stopped them from getting the sniper pickup by Cells throwing that shock. But man, oh man, how did Handles find 2 downs back to back? What angle did he have? What gun did he possess right now? It almost seemed like he had like the Bushka or something.
The what?
That was Gears Judgment weapon. Don't worry about it.
Man, the Bushka. I like that, bro. Bring that back. I don't even know what it is, but bring it back, baby. Hey, sounds nice. Hey, he sounds like spiritual to me, man. 2v2, going for the Torque. 1v1 between 4 and 5. Handles and Inzum. Rushies is tempting fate. He wants to push. Bronny taking a bit of damage. Rise knows they can capitalize off of this damage, especially with Sideshow down. This is the round Rise wants to win. 2 out of the way. Handles forced to run away. Rushies not backing down. They will back up, actually. Torque, I believe, still on the ground. Handles by himself, 1v4, no power weapons, no utility to use. It's all gun skill, and quickly pursuing is Rise, and there it is. He will fall. KCP, they made it competitive, but Jacob in the end, it's Rise winning 6-4.
Yeah, that defining round by Bronny where he was able to get 2 before getting shut down, and then the missed shots by Handles that could have really turned the tides. But now Rise, they lead 2-0 in this series. They have commanding lead and momentum on their side. We have a quick commercial break. After that, we'll see the conclusion and a possible comeback from the Kansas City Pioneers.
Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Jacob MVPR. We're going into map 3. It's going to be Vaskar, but we are looking at a 2-0 lead from Rise. I mean, I got to say, very close district. 300-293. Tomb, close on paper, Jacob, right? It ends 6-4, but one thing about it, though, that was KCP coming back. At one point, we saw, what, a 5-1 lead. Rise pretty much controlled this Tomb without question, and now they're about to head into a very strong map, at least according to the stats.
Okay, I got one question for you. I got one question. Who's in the post-game interview? Is it Affinity? Is it Detox? Avexys?
You're asking questions.
Rush go in.
You are asking questions I'm not paid enough to answer. Okay, I think it's Affinity.
Yeah, no, because Rise is going to take the series right now. So is it like I'm asking you, Reflection? Who do you want? I would like to see Rushy step up and take the interview.
You Rushies to take the? You want Rushies to take the interview?
I would love to see Rushy step up to take the interview. I think the chat would love to see Rushy step up.
I would love to see Rushy
probably the best with interviews. Avexys is there. Inzum or Rushies, please. I doubt either one of those guys would kind of step up. I think Inzum already did, but this series is over. This series is over. Even if the Pioneers find a way to win this map, they're not winning the next control. I've seen, it's just too sloppy.
It's okay. So first off, to answer one question, it is Affinity. Second off, I would love to see Rushies or Inzum, specifically Rushies. I think that would be pretty awesome to say. Just knowing how he talks, I think that would be a pretty fun interview. Might have to censor a little bit, but either way, though, and then now you're saying KCP, they're looking sloppy. That I do agree with. And also, too, KCP is a momentum-based team, and they haven't been able to gain momentum. Like, they really did try on Tomb. Like, that rally 3 rounds in a row was impressive, but then Rise, they win it anyways, and that's the thing about it. KCP, they're trying so hard to take back control, but they're not able to get it. And Vaskar's a good map for Rise. It is. Their record in Pro League was 5-1, so obviously, clearly, very good. And then when it comes down to the side of Kansas City Pioneers, they're 3-1. Still very good. So you have two talented rosters playing on Vasgar, but again, momentum is a thing in Gears. I learned that very early on from Ryan. I learned it from you. I've heard you say it, and I'm a firm believer at this point after watching so much Gears. So Rise, they're going into this, they're already feeling like they won the series. They can't take it for granted, but I mean, they're going in with a lot of momentum.
Yeah, and right now, I just feel like the biggest thing that I feel like Rise is going to take the series, no matter if it's this map or the next, it's the timing and the lack of chemistry, or what it looks like on the side of Pioneers from what they look like when they were in championship form, because that was still a close map. Number one, you talked the rally back of 3 different rounds there on that last map, so it's not like it's a blowout by any means, but when you're at this level, that teamwork and timing means so much, and I think Rise just has it down packed right now, especially after those speed bumps in map 1.
Yeah, speed bumps indeed. All right, let's see the initial breakout. Great team fire. I'm looking at it. It's just insane to see all of those bullets flying from KCP's perspective, but the reality is no kills come through. So Rise can continue to push up, and now Kansas City Pioneers are feeling the pressure themselves. Acels will lose his life. Handles might as well, but they're going to lead him to bleed out. Now they can back up, Rise specifically, and challenge that of A. 3v2, player 4. He's going to be challenging from mid. Ronnie's going to try and stick it, Jacob, but eventually, I think he's either going to lose his life or he's going to have to back away. But he might full send it too. I mean, that's within his wheelhouse that he does. But honestly, he didn't have a lot of plays to make in that spot.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like the timing right there again. But you can see immediately Rise turns around. It's Detox that goes for that neutral. The 3 take the 3v2. On the other side, Bronny and Zysho, they held their position. They tried to buy their team time, which wasn't much overall, but this is their chance to fire back. 4 players are able to spawn up. They're going to take that 2-2 split, but this is where Detox has a chance to be sneaky. Goes for a play. This is the crucial shot. Goes down. That is going to be an opportunity Pioneers could take advantage of for sure.
I feel like he hit that first shot and just assumed the guy was dead, and then he kind of like paused and looked at him like, you're not dead, and then all of a sudden he's dead. Like, it's just his heads must be spinning. Avexis will pass the cells, double back, take him out. Bronny, he is sent running. Avexis on the chase, which might result in a 2-piece, and it does actually. Do you think Rise was justified in that push?
I think they should have played it a little bit more tight. You could see the timing wasn't there from Avexis, and I do believe it was Enzum, because Avexis went in, maybe thinking Enzum was trying to go wide, which he wasn't, but I do like the play from Rushies to backtrack, reposition himself, get back with the teammates, and not waste any time to try to make that push, come back through yet again, flashes onto Acels. This is where they're going to try to make the move. All the damage in the world is not going to be able to stop them, especially with the close proximity and the revives popping off.
It's a close one. Round 1 has been tense from start until maybe finish. Rise takes back to 2-1. That's win condition in their favor. They still are sitting on KCP's home hill, so one thing they're going to have to deal with is constant respawns, but Rise doesn't feel like they can effectively back away and get on B quick enough. Player 2 on the other side, Enzo, might make a push. He's going to face off against Zysho. But we have to focus our attention on this 3v3. This hill either wins it for Rise or loses it. Same thing for KCP. But they actually back completely away. They do take down Zysho. They get onto the B hill. Kansas City Pioneers now in a tough spot. And you got Rushies flanking. Who else would you expect to be behind you?
This is like Rushies. This is like a Rushies map. It's perfect for him. There's so many nooks, so many crannies, so many covers he could be hiding on, waiting for that moment to strike, but 2 decaps at the last second. Another decap on the other side of the map, but yeah, I got too excited there for a moment. I thought it was possible. I thought it was at least possible. I know Adidas taught me that anything is possible. You know as well as I do.
Hey, look, and I know as well as you do, brother, like anything is possible when it comes to Vasgar. We have seen so many times. Escalation as a whole, right? You think it's a guarantee. They're going to cap at 250. Then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, the Mr. Krabs hit you. And sometimes it hits us. I don't blame you. But that does end in a tight scoreline of 250 to 243. So again, it was close from start to finish. And it is going to be Rise taking round 1. Now 4 rounds away from 3-0ing KCP. This time we will see Bold Talks. Nothing too crazy just yet. It was such a close round. You don't want to change the battlefield too much, Jacob.
Yeah, and if I see that Boltok stay for Rise after this round, I know Vexies is calling the shots. He's calling the shots because he's realizing that he might have the hot hand right now, but you see the split. Vexies trying to backtrack. He needs that information from Rushies. One player is going to be spotted out. The second one as well. They're getting everybody accounted for, but Rushies gets stunned out. He's not going to be able to escape. Tries to clean up on the damage that Vexies laid out for him. At least something's going to be able to come through it. They got that neutral, keep things going, and because he actually didn't get that elimination, that's going to allow them to kind of make that their own home hill, knowing nobody's going to be able to flank without getting noticed.
Detox, Boltok in hand. Matter of fact, I think there's two Boltok. Yeah, Detox and a Vexies. So KCP didn't even get their own, and that was from the aggressive start of Vexies looking to make his own opening, and you even have a bit of a flank from player 4, but he'll back away as the Vexies will fall. And finally, we will have a team definitively in control of the map. That's going to be KCP at the moment. Rise, though, will make an attempt for their home hill, but KCP have a good setup. I don't think they're going to be able to break through it.
Nah, especially since they pushed up without that third member spawning. And Detox already having 2, make it 3 down and out as he gets finished off. And this is where they're getting staggered right now. Those moves are good and all and being able to kind of make those high risk, high rewards. But right now, they're just wasting valuable time because those are the mistakes that they're making. But now that they have all 3 players spawned up, they're going to be ready to go and take on that 3v3.
And this could get tense if KCP doesn't back off this fight. They choose to fight it. If Rushies wins his engagement against Handles, which he does not, so that's good news for KCP. Made even better that they win the team fight on C. I think this round is all but done with.
All over the map right now. Rushies died in that 1v1 to Handles, which basically gives up that triple cap domination. Even with Rushies getting that last lick at the end, it's the Pioneers who come out on top in round number 2.
And that's the risk you take when you have a definitive 1v1 on the opposite side. You have the big 3v3 team battle. It's the same thing with the 2-2 split. We talk about it all the time as casters. When you split up 2-2 or you have 2 even fights, you lose that fight, you lose the other one, a domination is quickly going to ensue, and that's exactly what ends up happening. So well done, KCP, and hold up a second. I said both rounds are relatively close. KCP doesn't place anything, at least off of the first round, but second round, sniper up on Heli. That is very unorthodox.
Yeah, that's actually something that I think they were saving for this major. Because you know as well as I do, the typical spot is over towards the tank. So they're trying to mix things up. They're trying to come with some sort of plan, surprise for Rise here in the major. And you can see that's going to cause 3 players over towards the top side of the map for Rise. But 4 for the Pioneers. As soon as Rushy steps in the hill, that's where the Pioneers know they have the advantage.
Kansas City Pioneers continue to push as a 4-man unit. Player 4, Rushies. And where he's at, maybe we see... Zysho's got the snipe. He's not going anywhere. He's going to stay exactly where he is, try and pop some heads. Detox getting a haircut, but hey, he's all right with it. He needed it. He is downed. And Enzim tried to go maybe to pressure in. In fact, he throws himself directly into the Nasher of Zysho. Maybe a bit of miscommunication or a play that shouldn't have been made. And Kansas City Pioneers are in a fantastic point. In fact, going to go for everything. Player 8 Handles. He's going to be in a 1v2 shortly, but he's at least going to get a decap.
You can see everybody trying to find Rushies, trying to figure out where he's at, and Rushies is trying to make it all the way back towards that neutral. Get that lending the helping hand to Detox, but Rushies goes down. Detox with the revive. Damage is going to come out. Headshot from Zysho lines that up, and that makes it that much harder for Rushies. That's the third player rotates on over, trying to line up the shot. Misses that on Inzum, but that gives up information. Inzum knows the sniper is there and starting to rotate on over.
Kansas City Pioneers need to settle their tea kettle, hold on to what they got. It is going to be a 3v3 on C, but it's up to Rise to make that move. You have a lot to work with. Boltok, Sniper might have some more shots in it as well. This isn't going to be an easy push from Rise's perspective, so this should be a successful hold from KCP. Rise, though, has to push forward. They have no choice, especially now. You can't really back away, especially with Handles potentially flanking. Boltok shot still hurting. Despite all that, though, Rise still finds a way to push up Jacob and pressure Zysho and Bronny back.
No, Handles knows there's a 1v1 coming. Rushies is doing a phenomenal job putting pressure on the backside. Usually when that happens, though, they know how to go forward on the side of the Pioneers, just like Handles was able to turn, burn, take out Inzum, but Rushies comes out on top, and with that elimination, he's going to make his way towards that neutral. Inzum spawning up, it all depends on the information given to him by the players that are on the field. He hears the 1v1 towards that neutral, a possible rotation as well, and that's why he's going to beeline it there.
I believe the new sniper's picked up. Yep, Vexies gets it. Rise pretty much in close to Hail Mary mode. They're not going to have the win condition, obviously. They lose in just 20 seconds. They lost the fight on the tank. Unfortunately, that was a 1v2, maybe even a 1v1. Either way, Acels takes it for himself. And at the moment, it is going to be KCP winning very shortly. Rise will give himself a little bit more time by getting the decap plus full cap, but they still have to make it all the way over towards B. But they're doing it. They're making it happen, Jacob. And players 6 and 7, they got to hold their ground.
Up flank coming in. He at least got in. Started the decap. A couple more seconds are going to be needed here. Double shutdown.
No!
Triple shutdown. It's at the Detox. And Detox comes out on top. It's now on the other side of the map.
He can't get there.
Is there going to be a touch? He cannot. Detox does it again for Rise.
Oh, my Lord. Handles was sprinting as quickly as he could. Surely there should have been enough time, but there simply wasn't. Just a hair away. Such a tense match and a round in general. Rise had no business winning that, yet they did.
Nope.
That's just what Vascar's all about. That's why I do like this map, even though I hate on it a lot whenever I'm like, oh, we're watching Vascar again. We watch it a lot, but it allows for exciting moments just like that one.
That was looking like desperate play. Rise, honestly, they were in that situation. Win or lose that team fight. If they don't get in that hill, they lose the round. You saw the decap begin to start on one side from that flank. I do believe it might have been Rushies, and then it was finished off by a huge battle by Detox, who has ice in his veins for sure.
All right, it's a big round. Rise, 3 rounds away, 3-0ing. Kansas City Pioneers dropping them into loser's bracket. Just round 2. Job's not done yet, though. Just setting the precedence. Zysho, sniper in hand once again. He didn't die the entire round last round up until literally the very end when they ended up losing. And you mentioned Rushies. He's now on the flank.
Yep, now he's going to turn. He's trying to learn his lesson. Life after life, just drawing attention. 2 different players now focused on him. And as soon as Rushies calls that out, look at the minimap. Detox and Inzum begin to press up. Avexi's trying to cross over the top of the retro, and as soon as they get out of sight, he's joining the fight on the other side of the map. Even though Rushies falls, look at the pressure that's already being put on by Rise.
Player 5, Bronny, 1v3, tough spot to be in. He goes back into the corner, really only place he can go. He'll fall. But there is a silver lining. Player 6, Zysho, did win his fight against Rushies a little bit earlier. Therefore, he keeps Kansas City Pioneers alive. They'll be off the respawn to be able to fight back. Rise does have control of the 2-1. They also have the point lead. Kansas City Pioneers will break up to the 2-2 split. Player 8 might join, but Avexi's is in middle. He's going to be that flex player that can go help Rushies or maybe even assist Detox and Inzum at the A-Hill.
Yeah, they're switching the spots, allowing Zysho to get into the fray with the sniper. Try to keep a head down, which will allow those players to push up, but it's the same thing if they're shooting at Zysho, but Rushies makes the play. Sniper shot's gonna connect. Quick revive back up. They're staggering him out, and now he has to leave him dry. Not trying to beat a hero in this situation as Inzum, he finally able to escape around the corner. Right now, about 80 points and counting of a lead. The Pioneers might need a triple neutralization.
They might need that, exactly. Just like Rise a little bit earlier. Zysho, Nasher out this time, and he's going to get chunked. Avexi's picks up 1 on his last down and out. He's going to be finished off. Bronny caught reloaded. Detox picks up 2. Detox has been making so many heroic and incredible plays, and then rushes with the Boltok with the heady. Rise is on fire, and they're going to lead 3-1. Oh my gosh.
Back to back. Come on, give me another one. Give him the hat trick. Give him the hat trick. It all happens because of that Lancer fire. Teamwork making the dream, but Rushies even wants it. He's not going to get the headshot, but he's going to clean up that elimination anyway. Rise 3-1 going into the half. So I got to ask you, from what you've seen so far of the Pioneers, what are some big adjustments you want to see them make?
Man, big adjustments. Honestly, you got to outslay Rise. Like, that's what makes KCP honestly magical, at least in the past. I don't feel like they're winning the team fights enough. They're definitely winning the 1Vs. Like, Zysho has done a wonderful job winning his 1Vs when needed. Acels has had his moments to shine too. But the team fights aren't as dominant as they typically are. And that's with the sniper. That's with the Boltok. That's with them pushing forward and seemingly having the advantage. You looked at the KDs, or at least I checked them out right on that scoreboard. It's not impressive. Like, Rise, they're doing very well. The majority of Rise members seem to be positive. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, KCP are definitely not doing so hot. So honestly, it comes down to just simply winning your fights.
And there's nobody that's really matching what Rushies is doing right now. Even though Handles is winning some 1v1s, he's just not matching how much pressure he's going ahead and forcing, pushing on the other side of the map. Look at him yet again, 1v1 versus Zaisho, forcing out the shock grenade of all things, because Zaisho doesn't want to mess with this antics, and that puts pressure on the other side of the map, because as long as you give Rushies this freedom to do exactly what he's doing, because he has a flashes. Oh no.
Yeah.
We don't give him freedom.
Yeah, tough spot to be in. I mean, Zaisho handled his ground. And again, that's what I was pointing out. Like, Zaisho's been doing a wonderful job in the 1v spots. Avexy's instant in hand. He throws it out. It doesn't connect, but at least separated Acels from Bronny, and therefore, he was able to get Bronny. Now, 2 more you have to deal with. Acels taking a brute of damage, but still managed to get Detox. Gets the meat shield. Avexy's falls. A great play from Handles. 3 down from Rise.
Rushies trying to get the decap at the very minimum damage. He didn't get the decap. He has to step back in, and he gets the down. Did not tell you, Reflections. No punny is really matching what Rushies is able to do right now. Revive coming in. No hero play coming out from Bronny. He's going to be forced to backtrack, and already you got Detox setting some precedence on the other side of the map, showing himself, and now Avexy's there to back him up.
Oh, nice shot from the rounds, and Handles.
He's still going to get the cap, though.
Still getting the cap. No, not just yet, right? So this is where KCP needs to just hold what they got. They don't need to get overzealous. Rise has to push into you. You have Handles with 2 more shots with the sniper. You can do what you want. You can set up. And great shot from Bronny. 2 more from Rise. Bronny swings to corner. Another one will tally up for his corner, and Zaisho will pick up yet another. KCP have literally done everything correctly, and it's going to come down now to Detox having to push up, maybe even player 3 to get onto F, but you got Detox. He's kind of by himself. He's got to push forward towards player 6. I think KCP win this round unless just something crazy happens like round 2.
Yeah, Rise need an actual full-on team wipe here in this situation. With Detox going down, it's going to make it that much harder. And Avexy's going to fall, trying to get the revive, even though it's still going to be cleaned up by Inzum. Like I said, they need a full-on squad wipe, and it's a 2-2 split. They're already taking the different home mills on the other side of the map, and Detox getting traded. I think that's going to be the final nail in the coffin right there, because now they're just going to be discombobulated working as individuals.
I'm curious if they do have one final attempt. They do have the 2v1 on player 6, but, I mean, Zaisho, he's holding his ground. Well done from his perspective. Maybe there's still a chance. You got to sprint the D, and nobody's going to be able to get there. Well, player 1? No, not enough time. Just literally barely not enough time. Rise will lose a round after a successful 2 in a row, and KCP will make it a bit more competitive at 3-2.
A little bit more. That's what you got to do, though. When it's the first round and a half, you have to go ahead and make your opponent believe that it was just a fluke. Now we're going to turn things around, especially with the sniper being on that side of the map. If you win that fight, you not only win the power weapon, but you win the hill. You win the 2-1 go-ahead advantage.
All right, so will anything else change? We're just going to continue to power up our weapons on this side. A disable coming out early on. That's going to be a shock not usable for KCP. And it's weird. We have been seeing towards the tail end. When the score is 3-2, disables come out. That literally never happened before.
It's because they want to keep the bull talk on. Because it's either keep the bull talk or upgrade the bull talk, take it off, or put a weapon towards the center. And since they don't want to do neither, they're going to go ahead and try to go ahead and disable that shock grenade. Early start, early downs, nothing going to be cleaned up. That's going to allow Detox to escape with a sniper. Rushy's doing Rushy's things. He's going to get caught out, sniffed out from a mile away this time around.
And you could tell Rise with the disable of the shock, like how confidently they pushed up. Still no guarantee. Nice shot from Detox. The finish is in a double finish from Detox. Listen, Detox may not have the greatest stats, Jacob, but like the amount of 2 pieces and great plays I've seen on Vaskar alone has just genuinely been incredible. That man is on fire.
I honestly, Colin kind of prefaced something like this perfectly. It was a different matchup. It's right now, though, Detox is doing the opposite of what he said. He's not necessarily getting the kills that he wants, but he's getting the kills that Rise needs in a lot of these situations and still drawing so much attention. Look, on that side of the map, spawning out 2 different players, giving the information, bait and switching along with Rushies, because look, he's marked out. Nobody knows Rushies is there.
No, they definitely don't.
Oh, man. He's really going to hit him. He's really going to hit him.
Oh, he gets spotted out. Yeah, he's got to back away, but he was about to be a nuisance for sure. Like you said, he likes to be a rat and just hide in corners. Ooh, that's a risky shot from Detox. I don't know if I agree with that per se. Trying to get style points. Absolutely. Rushies will at least bail him out after that bit of a whiff. KCP, though, with the 2-1 hill advantage to themselves. Rise, though, do have mounting pressure. Player 4 is going to get on the opposite side and get onto E. Vexes and Insum can make a special play if they continue to push up. They win this fight, I mean, KCP are still going to be back at the drawing board.
And you can see their kind of decisions right there. They're backtracking, making sure that they're both getting out safe here in that situation, and they're parking the bus, as you would say. 2 hills to 1. They're forcing the Pioneers to make a move, and since Rushy's called it out on the other side of the map that there's 2, they're trying to take their 3 advantage while they can, and Rushy's even gets 1? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was an interesting one, because I thought he was going to whip it for sure, but he gets the finish before he ends up dying off. But the reality is, KCP, do they still have the 2-1 in their favor? A lot of moving hills, decaps, full caps coming through. But at the end, once the dust settles, is it going to be Rise with the 2-1? Well, it depends on Zysho. More importantly, it depends of Detox and Insum. They're the ones having to battle against KCP off the respawn. A tough hold nonetheless. Bronny will fall. Zysho now fully backs away. Detox, he goes ahead and steps in conjunction with Insum. That's going to be a full cap. So now Rise once again back with the win condition, forcing KCP to make some big plays. And matter of fact, Jacob, they've got to sprint the D.
Yeah, the 3-man push it. They get their home hill back. Detox gets caught out, unable to escape, but ends up gets the down. The Elim onto 1. He's still full red. That's why Bronny's trying to take his time and clean up the damage, but the movement. Finally, Bronny gets that 3rd down and out, but that was almost a little bit too close for comfort. Still 2 hills to 1. 5 seconds left. They need the decap to come through. A Sal's is going to be denied, and Rise will move 1 step closer to a 3-0 shutout.
Woo, it's 1 round away for Rise to 3-0. Kansas City Pioneers in round 2. Something that seems absolutely nutty to say, but that's just how the bracket ended up working out. Now, we do know Rise used their disable a little bit earlier to get rid of the shock, so it wasn't usable in the previous round. So that disable no longer is going to exist. But Kansas City Pioneers, they still have their disable, but you have to upgrade and continually try and work your way towards the instance. So we will see the Boltok be upgraded towards the Retro. Boltok provided tremendous value a little bit earlier. Retro, it's still going to hit you hard. Rise, 1 round away, and they do it.
And with Rise's placements here, if Pioneers are on the way of a comeback, they still will have the choice. Do you go ahead and put it weapon center line, or you can have the Retro, keep it going. You don't have to make any rash decisions as Insum is going to go down. Both flashes, or I should say shock grenades and instants to stop him from being able to advance on that. So the revive is going to be able to come through from Rushies.
Detox has got to hold his ground. Cells, he'll get the sniper. Can he get away though? Handles has to alleviate the pressure. He can't do so. A tough task and a tough ask as he was in a 1v3. And because the sniper wasn't backpacked, Detox does have it. Bronny splits the dividend 1v2, doubles back for the second. Rushies will fall. That's 2, maybe a 3rd. Detox, he's got to get out of there. You can't stay there, homeboy, and he will back away. Avexis will be just side to side. But Rise continually pushing back. The sniper needed to hit. I gotta say, it looks like KCP are feeling comfortable, but the Detox, he starts doing things exactly like that. Pick it up too. Insum maybe getting Zysho. He will fall. That's what, 3 down, make that 4. Does Rise lock it in now?
That was a headshot from Detox from the neutral hill, doing everything right. Insum, he cannot take this by himself, but even if he does, the spacing is perfect. Just like Rise, getting the capture on this hill, or at least it looks like it won't be able to get reset. It does. I might have been wrong. They have a fighting chance, but Bronny gets shut down. Insum is going to be able to stand tall. Insum does it again, taking out Zysho, and that 3rd and final kill from Insum as the cells falls. Rise rises to the top, no pun intended, with a 3-0 shutout over the former champions in the Pioneers.
Absolutely incredible. A 3-0 victory. Now they await their opponent of Fury 1 or Northern Forces, but it seems as if they virtually have a clear path to winners finals. Detox, I gotta say it, man. He played out of his mind on map 3. Absolute nuisance to the side of KCP. And like I've been saying, KCP dropping down to the losers bracket at round 2, something that hasn't happened since, I believe, the Optic days you were saying earlier.
Yeah, this is something that they are really going to be tested as 4 individuals on the side of the Pioneers, because we talked about the lackluster split they've been having, lack of practice, taking out 2 of the greatest coaches that they've had in the history of that roster during that Empire style run, similar to Optic Gaming did in their own time. So this is going to be a real defining moment for the Pioneers in the very last major. Did all that work you do to build your legacy go down the drain because of lack of practice? But on the other side, though, is the exact opposite. Practice, passion. It is the story unfolding before our very eyes, and Rise coming out on top is huge. I said the passion from Avexes is being eluded. You see it kind of trickling down towards the rest of his teammates. It's absolutely beautiful to watch.
Yeah, winning that major was a huge milestone in Rise's career and Avexes' career in general. I mean, that was a huge weight off of their chest, and you can definitely tell they've been totally unstoppable ever since winning. I mean, even winning in Pro League standings, almost nearly going undefeated, only losing to EU United. That is a big victory. Rise looking absolutely incredible and definitely poised to make it the grand finals once again, depending on how their next matches go. But Rise, 3-0 victory over KCP. Jacob, it was a fun time. And analyst, I got to hear from you guys. Break it down.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. And yes, Rise indeed poised to make another grand final. This time, trying to make it a little easier on themselves, doing it from the winner's bracket. Rise looking great to kick off the championship bracket, Ribs.
Yeah, huge 3-0 from them, and we talked about it. Maybe they should have a chip on their shoulder. They didn't play great yesterday. Maybe Detox heard me predict against them because they came out swinging winnable maps from KCP, right, Toby? But they just weren't able to close out. We saw that yesterday as well.
Yeah, unfortunate, honestly, for me, Ribs, actually. We predicted, well, at least I predicted for Rise to win this, but I did not imagine for a second it would be this, I wouldn't say comfortable, but at least, the 3-0 at the very least. We saw moments like this from Asals coming out where you thought there might be the KCP energy finally returning, finally getting into that major spirit, but sadly, it was just nothing special from them. And that's kind of what we needed to see from KCP today against his Rise squad, because Rise were absolutely on point.
Toby, real quick, sorry,
department.
look at the percent. Look at Detox's percent here. Look at his percent on the right. 3% health. By the way. Just hit a pellet, Handles. How do you redeem yourself after that? Your teammates just know that you just missed a full spread. Toby, what do you say? I'm sorry, we'll get them next time. They did end up winning a few more rounds after that, but that is terrible. Terrible, Handles. Just terrible. I'm sorry.
I mean, this is what I mean, though. It's kind of that storyline. We had moments where Bronny started going off on Vazgar. We saw double kills, but as I look through the stats, it's just negative KDs across the board for KCP. And even on District, for example, Rise didn't have anything special in the terms of the kill department. But then somehow we have so many deaths from Handles, from Bronny, 6 to 17, 2 to 15 respectively. And I liked what they tried to do here, John, on Vazgar with the strat of throwing the snipe down a helicopter to change things up, kind of put Rise off guard a little bit. But even then, when they got the snipe, Zysho wasn't the star sniper that we expect from him. Handles a headshot here, but still, not a huge amount we saw from KCP there on Vazgar.
Yep, that's right. We did see a lot of headshots, though, Ribs. I hear you reacting to those.
Yeah, no, it's just, it was Rushy's getting the double Boltok headshot. And we're talking about how well he's playing, and I did want to just touch upon the fact that we say he's a better player offline, he's a better LAN player, and I was a teammate of his, and he is a much better teammate offline. So the fact that they're landing definitely probably helps his morale, but I also thought that Rushy's was one of those players that thrived in the chaos of the shit talk and the banter. And he's not sitting across from his opponent. So what is he, getting up, just yelling at random people in the banter? No, but he's definitely more energetic being in person. He kind of comes out of his shell a bit. And all the players of Rise are playing amazing. This is what we saw last event. And I'm glad that they stepped it up from yesterday to today, sitting in winner semis now, waiting for what they would probably expect to be one of their easiest opponents in the tournament in either Fury 1 or washed up Kenny Bounce.
Yeah, and you take a look at the stats here. 300 to 293, 7-point games, 6-4. I mean, close games for sure, but KCP just an inability to finish. I mean, Toby, in your eyes, those first 2 maps could have gone either way. What was it that maybe KCP didn't do so well in finishing, or Rise did well in closing out?
Well, we said it already, Rise were playing really well. KCP had to stand up to them at the very least, but even then, it's just nothing special. And a really good example is, you said second map, right, to him. KCP have literally played this map 2 times as much as any other XE map this split. They always go for Tomb. It's their go-to pick, but I still remain to try and find a USP for them on this map. They were easily read that it was just base strat after base strat. And you think, yeah, maybe the classic KCP with their slaying power would be able to go for like these base strats and things in these basic kind of predictable plays, but it's not there. The slaying power is not there. Rise were winning through the slaying department, as mentioned with the KDs already. And so for me, it kind of points perhaps to just a systemic issue at this point. Is it a lack of passion? Is it a lack of motivation? Is the coaching factor really playing into it here? Because KCP haven't got, this worse at Gears 5, mechanically, thumbs in the sticks. It's the entire team just not playing anything like they used to be, John. And I don't think we've ever seen this much of a decrease in a performance from what a team once was. How does a team go from Dynasty and, say, Optic Gaming comparisons to being this predictable and this lackluster so fast? It blows my mind.
Yeah, it's a big question mark, that's for sure. So much talent on this squad. You wouldn't want to say it's wasted by any means, but potential certainly not realized, because the KCP of the old, they finish all of those games, Ribs. I mean, you remember they couldn't be stopped. They were so good as a team. They loved playing with each other. They were firing on all cylinders, to be honest, and it's just a different KCP squad here as we get the bracket ready to show you all as a quick update. But, really, it's a much different KCP now and a much different Rise, to be honest with you, Ribs, as you walk us through the bracket.
Yeah, of course. So as we look at the bracket, you'll see Rise will be the first team to solidify a spot in winter semifinals. They found themselves here in the spring major, and they did end up losing to United. This time around, like I said, they're playing against Fury One or Northern Forces. As you can see, they're 1-1, so that's going to be a fun matchup. Make sure to go to one of our other broadcasts to watch that. But if I'm Rise, I'm sitting pretty. I know I'm playing well. I just 3-0'd a team that I used to never be able to beat. And then two of my biggest opponents in Rebel and United are on the other side, and even the Knights. Fury One, though, not to be slept on. But if somehow Northern Forces get to winter semis, it's going to be one of those instances where Rise cannot sleep on them, and I know Affinity is going to be telling them, do not sleep on whoever gets to the semis.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm excited for whatever that matchup ends up being, but you got to think Rise is looking pretty good. I have all eyes on that Fury One versus Northern matchup. You can catch that on the Bravo stream, but then we also have United versus the Pittsburgh Knights. That's a marquee matchup. I think that might be the next matchup on stream. Yet just got confirmation it is. So we'll see United versus the Pittsburgh Knights live on stream now, which maybe might be a little bit closer than we thought this KCP and Rise match is going to be, Toby.
Yeah, you'd hope so, right? I think similar question marks for me with those two teams. United, a great start, some moments, where there have been question marks on some maps. Why is it this close? Why are you losing Afira to Northern Forces of all rosters? You have to ask that, despite how great Kenny and Northern Forces were. They used to be their wheelhouse, and they keep picking it. So yeah, concerning there. A lot of teams have got better. Ritual, again, PK might go for that. Let's see if they turn that around. And then finally, of course, PK. They, just like KCP, need to show up to the major. They're running out of time, and they have to hit the ground running now with this game.
Yeah, and honestly, United as well. Obviously, United won a championship. That was a much different United roster than it is now. TJ and Demise and Dyslexic looking to hoist a trophy. But I guess my question for y'all is, obviously, it might be easier to answer this after this next match, but I'll ask it now anyways. At this point in the tournament, from everything that you're seeing, who you think is looking championship caliber? I want one word and one word only, and it's the team. Rib, starting with you.
Yeah, I'm just going to say the word rivalry, and we talked about it in the pre-show yesterday, and they were talking about this new El Clasico between the two strongest North American teams, and I hate to kind of forget about Fury One and Rebel, but right now, United and Rise, I'm expecting them to play in winners finals, and I'm expecting the winner of that winners finals to win the tournament.
Yeah, that was more than one word, but Toby, one word, which team's winning this tournament?
Rise.
Rise. Toby, more definitive in his answer than the politician, Mr. Barack Obama himself.
I started with one word, rivalry. Yeah,
you did. I guess that's,
I wanted to say El Clasico, but that's two words. So
yeah, but I said which team? There's no team called rivalry. I digress.
Oh.
Anyways, listen, Ribs can't follow instructions. That's why he clearly was bad in school as a kid. I don't know if that's true or not in Hawaii, but I digress.
Clown, terrible student. Terrible.
Yeah, I could totally see that. That's going to be it for us. So listen, good news. We do have Jordan Curl live for an interview with the coach of Rise, maybe to talk a little bit about their lackluster performance or scary performance yesterday against Twilight and their dominant performance today. Let's throw it over to Jordan.
Thanks, John. I really appreciate it. So what's up, Affinity? Congratulations, first of all, on the win.
Thank you.
I do just want to briefly ask you before we get into this match. Like John said, it was a little scary match against Twilight yesterday.
Yes, it
we didn't
was.
get to actually see it on broadcast. But how did that, after that match, how did you sort of regroup with the guys and try to get back on track for today?
Yeah, so we have close matches like that pretty frequently. We had a few in Pro League. We have them in E-Days. We had them in the last major, too, even though we won.
Yeah.
We had some rocky matches on Friday and Saturday. And,
Sure.
I think just that confidence, knowing, we always end up getting the job done still. All that matters is that you win at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what fashion it
True.
was in. between that and just the feeling of knowing we're the champs, like it's easy
Mhm.
to bounce back against a shaky match against an average team and then come out this strong against KCP still.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if anything, it just like tells you can't overlook anyone,
Yeah, of course. And I wouldn't
For
say we were
sure.
overlooking
Yeah.
them either.
Oh,
It's
definitely
just
not. Yeah.
sometimes the shots aren't hitting or there's
True.
distractions or whatever it may be. Every
Mhm.
match is different, every day is different.
Most definitely. So, with that being said, today is definitely different. You popped it off with the dominant 3-0 coming out against KCP, sending them to the losers bracket early.
Yep.
How did you sort of feel about, that match? Obviously, they haven't had their best performance so far this weekend, but how did you feel like overall just how the team performed and also just coming into that one?
Yeah, so KCP has always actually historically been one of our better matchups. But
Mhm.
we didn't look at how they played yesterday and, think it was going to be easy because of that. Even though I think we have a winning record against them, it's always really close. And even when it's a 3-0, like all the maps are usually close too. They,
Yeah.
they always give us a fight. And no matter how they play in Pro League, no matter how they play in E-Days, no matter how they play in pool play, they always
Mhm.
come out swinging once it's bracket time in the majors, and we've seen it every single time. I think they're like usually middle of the pack in Pro League, and then come out and get first, second, third, whatever every event still. So I expect to see them make a deep losers bracket run, even though we sent them there early.
For sure. And so I want to ask you as well, because you're also in person with the guys. We
Yep.
talked to Detox yesterday about being at LAN. They're fired up. Do you feel like that's given you guys any sort of advantage playing together and just coming together for this last event?
Uh, I mean, yeah, we're all happy to be here together. It's been over 2 years since we have been.
Mhm.
I don't know how much of an advantage it is, and it's not
Mhm.
like a traditional land environment where you're actually playing against another team in person. It's almost like we're
Right.
we're still just at someone's house or something, for example.
Mhm.
But it's definitely nice to see the boys go out with a bang. This is the last event. We wanted to do it big, and it just helps us, kind of tune out any distractions you have at home or whatever it may be. So yeah, it's been good so far.
Yeah. And just feeding off of each other's energy. Like,
Yeah,
I know
it
that has
feels
to
it
be
feels good to
fun.
dap your teammates up after a round. We haven't done that in so long, but we were getting hype after every little clutch situation we had in this last match.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my final question that I really want to ask you, because I know that like it's obviously been a very long career for you, over
Mhm.
10 years in this scene. So, first player, now coach. What would a win here at this major like mean to you personally for your career?
Oh, I mean, winning one was a huge deal. I was so
Sure.
happy, like knowing that we won the last one, that I'd be able to end my career on a high note. But being able to go back to back would just make it even sweeter. We'd be going out as the best team at the end of Gears 5, best team in the
Mhm.
in the history of the game. Yeah, so just being able to cement that legacy, I think it'd feel really good for me, for all of them. We're here and we
Yeah.
won it.
All right, coach. Well, good luck the rest of the way. We will
Yeah,
see if you achieve that back to back goal. So
we'll
far,
try.
looking very good. So, listen, you're looking good so far. So, we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
But good luck. And I'm going to go ahead and send it to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. The Gears Summer Major will be right back.
All right.